Hi everyone. I can see a lot of eyes in that. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Farhan. Hey, Nile. Hey, Mulgeshin. Yes, I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Hey, Unexpected. Okay, hey, Nims. Hey, Adi. Welcome to the stream. Okay, it's. I guess it's good morning for another time zone. And if you're waking up right now, so it's good morning for you. So, hi everyone. I can see a lot of hi in the chat. Hi, Visa. I guess we were just playing uh, wiki races in the mini event. Now we are here. Hi everyone. Hmm. Hi Kushi, welcome to the stream. Oh, intro music real good. I guess I also like that music real good. Whenever I stream, I make sure I just stick to that particular music. So yeah, thanks for appreciating that. Okay, before we actually, yep, Adishes, I remember you. Yep, I just super great to meet you all. Okay, hi Rishabh. Hi, I'm from India too. Hello. First Global Hack Week, super excited. That's super good. Global Hack Week is all about having fun, learning new things, most importantly. And what we are going to learn today is super fun. Believe me, I know you folks might be super aware with what Chat GPT actually do, but what it can actually do up to a very big extent. That is something which we are going to talk about today. Whether it is related to your coding, whether is it related to your internships or articles, or you can say assignments which you get at your college. A lot of things it's going to help us with what we are going to actually talk about today. Yeah, wiki races. I guess more global hack week sessions would have been planned around wiki races. I'll see if I have been assigned to same, so we'll definitely do something around that. We'll just wait for a minute or so that folks can hop in. Already made the required announcements. Just to start off with, I am clearly audible and visible, right? Anyone can give a clarification in the chat. Great, great. One most important thing also, make sure you have your chat GPT open. Make sure you have your water bottle open and any other snacks around. This will be more of a fun plus learning things. So if you're trying to solve an assignment from a long period of time, you can take it right up now. The things which we will be discussing around right now, which will be helping you folks. Yes, we will be using GPT 3.5 because I know a lot of folks have that version, not GPT 4. I really think I need to make my cap more adjusted, but it's okay. We'll be using. Yeah, you can use any other AI language model. That is not going to make things worry for you. You can go for Bard. You can go for Chat GPT. You can go for POE, which is again a Chat GPT part. That's it. So a lot of things is something which is going to help you. Oh, I look good. Thank you so much. You look good too. I know we are not connected physically, digitally. That's the case. Okay. With that context, I guess we can start, folks. We are going to talk about hacking with prompt engineering. Okay. So when you actually think about the word prompt engineering, what is the one thing which actually comes up in your mind? When we talk about prompt engineering, right? We talk a lot about Chat GPT. We talk a lot about Bard. We talk a lot about how AI is going to take up jobs. But initially, we need to use how AI works, right? So, what is, if you have to define prompt engineering in a word or two, how you will define it in a word or two? If you want to define prompt engineering, okay, Adish US is creating a good prompt, which I will totally agree, which is probably the objective of this whole sessions. Typing effectively comms with AI. A very gamer answer which I got from Vedant. Manipulating AI with proper words, I guess, or another one. Giving instructions to model to help up with journal tasks. Correct. Absolutely correct. Giving context to some engine to generate something. Works. Exactly. Creating a good prompt for required output. Again, we have another one: specifying accurate instructions for suitable outputs. Works. Creating effective inputs to get most accurate results. I guess Nile is more close, uh, because even if you ask me if I have to define prompt engineering in words or so, it would be designing and refining to prompts to obtain desired outputs. So it's more ultimately depends upon effective creating effective prompts, uh, rather than, you can say, writing prompts, right? Because it's very important to write clear, specific, and contextual prompts so that it can give you a right result. Again, clear, focused instructions. Yep, Khushi also says correct. Asking right questions to get the answer you want. Exactly. Asking the right questions to the chat GPT model, which will actually help you. Guiding and approaching of the agent. Well said. Giving out proper instructions for getting a specific outputs. That works too. I guess maximum of you get it. If I have to define again, prompt engineering, designing and refining the prompts to obtain the desired output. Sometimes we know the output, but we do not ask the right question, right? When we were used to be in school, our teachers were used to say this beautiful thing. I guess everyone remembers. You ask 100 times, I'm going to tell you 100 times, right? So there is a very amazing logic behind asking those 100 times. You know what? When you ask the question for the first time, the question can be a bit twisted and you are not exactly you do not exactly get the words to form up the question so that you can get your desired output, right? That's why they were used to say ask us 100 times, we are going to tell you 100 times. Because what happens is, when you tell 100 times, you refine your question in every time, right? So if you ask your question for the first time, it will be, what is the formula of Pythagoras theorem? Next time question can be changed to why it is a square plus b square is equals to c squares. So that is how you reform your questions again and again and again. So that is why that terminology was used. Like, teachers were used to say, ask us 100 times, we are going to tell you 100 times. I know teachers don't tell 100 times, but ChatGPT will. So you do not need to worry about that. Maybe write a prompt that such exactly. I guess one more important thing, you need to understand the machine knows everything, but it doesn't know anything. You need to understand this because you need to train it. When you train it, it will eventually take up words and it will feel okay. Because it's more like every time you go to chat, GPT is going to treat you as a different person. It's not going to teach you like, probably say, for example, I and chat GPT had a conversation yesterday around AI, right? And today I'll come up to him and I'll say I want to talk around personal life. He will be confused, right? He will not be confused. The reason is, sorry, he will not be confused because for him, it's a new person after every 10 to 15 minutes. I guess we will also explain, like, have a conversation around this example. You talk to Chat GPT for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, if you try to ask another question which was in context to our questions, he might get confused after 10 to 15 minutes point of time. So that is how it works around Chat GPT with that. Be nice to machine because it's trained on conversational data. Works. Just a fun fact, if you would have seen, do you folks write please, hi, thank you in Chat GPT by any sense? Yes, even if it is the same thread, after 10 minutes. So let me give you an example. For example, if we have to center a div, right, which is something which a lot of front end developers, when they learn, they juggle around a lot, right? Okay, you have a conversation around front end for 10 minutes. After you take a break for 10 to 15 minutes, ask him, how do I center this? It will get confused because now for him the conversation is ended, a new conversation is started. So that is how the model is training itself. Used to do at beginning, sometimes no. What if you intentionally mislead a machine? It will give you answers, different answers. I guess this is something which we will talk about. The topic was the prompt check. That will come later in this stream, because when you intentionally mislead the machine, it will get confused in giving you prompt right answers. And sometimes it happens is, okay, if you just write how do I reduce, right? So machine is already miscreated. But when you write, please explain in JavaScript how reduce method is used and provide an example and its use case. So this is how you should write your prompt. So I guess we are already clear with the basics of what is prompt engineering. I guess everyone knows what is prompt engineering, how the model is getting trained again and again with your responses. Again, folks, make sure your chat GPT is open because I will be giving a lot of prompts. I will be writing the correct prompts, which will be a solution to that. So make sure that are ready with you. So you will be getting time for yourself to learn around it, right? So is everyone ready with their systems? Even if you are watching this from mobile, uh, this should be good for you, right? You do not need to worry around it. Okay. Okay, apparently my net says connection is unstable. Just a second, folks. I guess it should be good. Yep, let's go. Can't wait anymore. If I go to the next stream, okay. We talked a lot about Chat GPT, but I didn't talk about me. Hey everyone, I am Vinayak Rawat. I am a coach at Major League Hacking. I am a full stack cricket player. I love to bat though, and I love spending time with doing product teardowns. I'll take up a product, I'll try to find all its casualties and faults, and try to improve it, trying finding ways to improve it. So yeah, I'm also a full stack developer. So it's like full stack cricket player plus full stack developer. How long have you been coach? I have been coach for more than one and a half years. I have joined coaches program back in 2022, so I'll be completing 2 years in the month of May. Yep. So it's almost 2 years here at Major League Hacking as a coach. But yep, we can discuss about me a lot in the coming time. Let's go. What are the things we will be covering up today? What is prompt engineering? We have just talked about the basics. We will be talking about methods which are going to help you to improve writing prompts. The next thing would be we will be iterating and optimizing prompts. Then we will be Hey folks, can you see and hear me now? Just will need a check from your side. Just can anyone give a reference? I am so sorry for that net glitch. Uh, that was because I just got disconnected somehow. But okay, we are back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Great, great, great. Okay, we were talking about iterating and optimizing prompt while making a CRUD app. We'll be making a CRUD application. Then we will be moving to role-based prompting. It would be more like you and ChatGPT into a conversation, but you're transforming ChatGPT into a different person that is going to help you. And the next would be AI assisted coding. We will be talking about pseudocode and test cases. So, okay, to start out with, let's move to our first. Okay, again, we talked about this. What is prompt engineering? It's more like designing and refining prompts in AI language model to obtain the desired output. You can see in the image, uh, the person is asking ChatGPT that you have never told me that, right? And the ChatGPT says you never asked me. That is the reason because we haven't given ChatGPT the right amount of prompt which he deserved. Oh, sorry, which it deserved. So, okay, moving on to the next one. Let's start with a basic example. I just we talk about let's center a div, right? So let me switch to Chat GPT screen. Okay, so my first prompt would be uh, how do I center how do I center div in web page, right? If you are let me make myself small. Okay, you can see my Okay, how do I center? Okay, so for example, you're a front end developer, and the first thing which came in your mind, which a lot of front developer and also main developers find problem with, to center a div in a web page, right? So you will think, let me go to chat gpt and actually write how do I center a div in web page, right? So I also did the same, right? And I click the end and I click enter. So now it started to give me justifications, number of ways to center a div element on your web page. You can use various methods. Here are few commonly used techniques. Now the problem is, can someone tell me what's wrong with this prompt? How do I center div in web page? Okay, let me increase the text size. Wait, uh, just a second. Is this good? Can someone confirm? Is this okay? Should I do more? If it's that's the case, I guess this should be good. Okay, perfect. Someone says perfect, and I hope net is a bit good. I don't know why it's trying to become unstable when I'm trying to work around it. Okay, so I hope net is good. Just a confirmation from anyone. It says a bit unstable on my side. Someone can give me the confirmation. Oh, yeah, it's good. Great. Okay. Okay. So I did write the command. How do I center a div in web page? Can someone tell me what's wrong with this prompt? Like it gave me the solution, right? I can use flexbox, I can use the text align feature, I can use the margin auto feature to center the div. These are all the methods I can use to center my div, but there is something wrong with this. Nile has come up with a very amazing point. It isn't a specification, there isn't any specification in the prompt. It's more of a generalized prompt, right? No context. Shubhankar says too much information. I guess too much information is given an answer. Yep, we can use some specific info. Again, nice one. Centering a div to the whole page or just to the div. Very good. I guess justification what we talked about. You didn't specify what tech are you using. Basically, it's more like HTML, which it recommends automatically, but that's a good thing again. But this is a very important, I guess Vedant also said a very important point. It's very also important to mention the tech which you are particularly using, right? Okay. Now just see the prompt I am writing in against of it. What is the best way to center a div element? We didn't mention element last time, right? Horizontally and vertically in CSS. Now if I write this prompt, what is the best way to center a div element horizontally or vertically in CSS? So it will says the best way to center a div element both horizontally and vertically, it depends on the specific requirements of your layout. However, using a flexbox option is considered straightforward and widely supported method, right? And there is certainly something still missing in this prompt. This prompt is 90% correct. I'm going to leave it to you folks. See, in this examples, he clears me all the things. Like, and you can clearly see, because I mentioned that I want to make it correct in the CSS version, it gave me the flexbox part. Use the flexbox, and it's saying because I wanted to do it both horizontally and vertically. Can you tell me the one thing which is missing in this prompt? Just a one thing. Someone has already answered it in the chat, but I really want to know if someone can actually guess what is the one thing which is missing here in this prompt. Someone in the chat has already answered it. Although if you write this prompt, you are almost there to get your right answer, because I guess Shubhankar said that is too much information, right? Here you got four different methods using grid, using margin auto, using text align, and using flexbox. Here you can only see you only got the flexbox option, right? And all the example is stated as simple as it gets in CSS. Simple. It has written in style, so it has not created a new component. I guess Nile and everyone got it. Center within the div or center within the whole page. So that is how this works. So now if you see this prompt engineering in CSS in the whole web page, right? And if I save and submit it now, just see the response now. The recommended way to center a div both horizontally and vertically on a web page by using a flexbox. Here is an example. So this is how, and you can see there is a clear justification the CSS it gave. That is why it's very important to be very, very, very specific. Again, now I'll just move on to the next example. How do I reduce? See, this is an example which I've seen it from one of my friends. So I'm just we were learning about JavaScript back in our third year because it was in our curriculum, and we were trying to learn things around reduced JavaScript. So what did he do? He had just visited to ChatGPT and he wrote this. How do I reduce? See, at that time it gave certain context to reduce array automatically. Here it says, it seems like your message got off. Could you please provide more details or clarify these questions? Would you like to reduce and at what constant? In what context? That is the session. This session will be for 2 hours or so. This is we are covering basics. Then we'll move on to making an application. Okay. So now when I write this prompt with clarity, that is how do see better is please explain JS reduce. Please explain JS reduce method and provide an example and provide an example and its use cases. If you write this, it particularly says the reduce method in JavaScript is used to reduce an array to a single value. It executes provided functions. So it firstly gives you syntax, the basic syntax, right? It tells you what are the values it can have, what it actually does, explain all the things which are present in that particular syntax, and then also gives you an example. For example, if const number is 1 2 3 4 5 and you use the reduce method, it will actually sum it all which are present in the array. So that is how this whole thing works. Now the most important thing which was available in this prompt was, if you can clearly see, it clearly says please explain JS reduce method and provide an example and its use cases. So what it did is it clearly explained you JS reduce cases like you are a 5-year old or a 10-year old trying to learn JavaScript for the first time. Then it went to give you an example which is well within your clarity structure, right? What it actually does, it is adding the value here. You can also change the value here and reducing it to 1. If it would have been multiplication, it would be 5 into 4 into 3 into 1, 5 factorial. So this is how. Will you be covering front end of app only or also going into back end? We will be like majority of the time we'll be talking about front end. The reason is a lot of folks are comfortable around front end. That's why. But when we will be going into role based prompting, then we will be moving into the back end part. And even during generating test cases, if we got more time, that is the case. Okay, so this is how it clears it up. So if I talk about another example, right? So now this example will be for you folks. Okay, let me move back to my ppt. Okay, let's try to write another prompt in chat gpt. How do I create a form which reverse a string, right? So the thing is, this is a task for all of you folks. You need to write a prompt which should create a form which should take an input and reverse the string. That is how it should work. And then I'll tell you which prompt I will put. Try to just think of the things which we have talked till now. You need to be specific. You need to use technical terms. You need to provide context to ChatGPT to give you a clear idea. If you're just going to write, how do I create a form which reverse a string? it is going to just give you this. See, how do I create a form which reverse string? If I just write this, it gives me a simple HTML code. And see, the answer is correct, but there is a very big problem with this answer. So this is a prompt which any person who has just visited ChatGPT will write. How do I create a form which reverses a string? Right? So now try to pick out the problems in this prompt and what could be an actually perfect prompt. Right? You can just write that in the ChatGPT and just copy paste it here in the chat. Then I'll tell you what is the perfect way to make it. Any one of you can write the prompt. Till the time, folks, make sure you have checked in for the session. The link would be available in Discord. Okay, someone has asked, how can I write effective prompt for generating MCQs? More importantly, I need to know what type of MCQs you are generating, what grade people you are generating MCQs for. Because when you give these two type of context to ChatGPT, they will determine the level of MCQs generation. So if you can tell more about topics and other things, I can give you a perfect prompt. That is how it works. Okay, some people have started to give in prompts. Write an HTML form that takes an input string and reverse it and print it out on the string. Correct. Nile comes up with create a HTML form with CSS that takes user input as string and print the reverse of the string. Uh, Clearly mentioned it in two different ways. How do I create a web page form that accepts a string as an input and output the reverse string using HTML, CSS, and JS? Perfect. Love this prompt also. Creating a simple form in HTML, CSS, JavaScript that reverses a string when someone enters a string and hits enter. Now, if you try to add up the three prompts which was given by Nile, Uiza, I'm so sorry, and Adi Suyesh, you can clearly see Adi Suyesh has mentioned a action when someone enters a string and hits enter, right? So this is an action you're also giving to chat gpt to understand, okay, when someone will click enter, what is going to happen. Okay, how can I create form which reverses string in JS? Short but not actually provided. Please provide me a way to generate a form using HTML and JS so it can take a string as user input and display its reverse string. Makes sense. Khushi comes up with a good one actually. Design a user-friendly web form that takes a string as input and displays the reversed version below it. Use appropriate HTML element and consider various string length and special characters. I guess Khushi has the point for this prompt. Specifically mentioned use appropriate HTML elements, consider various string length and special characters. That's a very good addition to it. Apart from that, also mentioned display the reverse version just below it, right? So it can also happen ChatGPT can give you a code that will show you a reverse string in the console version if not shown on the screen. So Kushi has got a point. Now if you ask me what will be my prompt, right, so I'll write, please create a form in JavaScript. Let me write full in JavaScript with one input that accepts a string, and if I have to add more points to it, and on submit, as Adishwe said, submit, and on submit prints the word to the web page in the web page in reverse. See, so now what are the prompts which I have clearly mentioned, right? Please create a form in JavaScript with one input that accepts a string and on submit prints the word in the web page in reverse. So you're telling him if you are taking an action, what is the result, where the result will be published, and what is the main source of problem that you need to take up. I guess Sufyan also comes up with a good one. Ask the user to input string is entered, reverse it displayed string to the user. That also works because you're saying when you're taking an input from the user, just display it to him. So ChatGPT will automatically assume that you are displaying it in front of particularly you can say user also who has just submitted it. Now one thing which I have did not correctly mentioned in this, that is, please uh, write separate code for HTML, CSS and JS. Now when I save and submit it, it will give you a new prompt that is code wise, right? A CSS for different, JavaScript for different. Because what happens is when you do not clarify that you want to have separate codes for HTML, CSS and JavaScript, that can be a bit of problem for the system to understand, and it might give you a code in a single context. That is the case. So I guess this prompt was clear. What are the things I actually wanted to talk about when we talk about creating a form with uh, particularly you can say. Okay, one more thing which I really wanted to specifically mention while you are writing this technical prompts, that you need to be very specific while writing this prompt. Next is make sure you use technical terms. Technical terms such as it can be technical languages, it can be various formats of small terms which should be present and which should relate, and ChatGPT should be able to understand what the user is actually trying to say. That is the case. So this is how it can be done. We can just move to our next one, that is how you can improve your prompt, right? If you sometimes if you want to improve your prompt. However, I think particularly this case totally depends on how front end should look like and what functionality should be added per user with requirements correct. So probably every prompt would be different and might correct as per specific uses. Perfectly correct. I guess Nile. What happens is sometimes what happens is you might have played that game of maze, right? When people enter from different zones, but they know where they want to reach at the end point. So it can happen that you might give a different prompt, but you might end up on the same result because it highly depends how ChatGPT or any other AI language model is taking up your prompt. So that is super correct. Okay, next thing, as I said, how can you improve your prompt, right? You need to be specific, you need to use technical terms, and you need to provide context. You need to be very clear with your prompts. In only that case, you can get the perfect output which you actually want from your Chat GPT server. That is the case. Okay, so if I move to a prompt, right? Just let me know if everyone is good with the internet. I can see some disturbance. If everyone is comfortable, I guess it should be good now. Yep, great. So if I talk about, let's try to improve a prompt. Okay, so this is again a small challenge for everyone. Assume that you already have a React project or an Angular project in whichever language you write. You disappeared briefly, but are back. Great. Okay, so let me get this. Okay, so assume that you have a React project ready and you want to use the example of use effect, and you do not want a typical example to be given by ChatGPT. How will you write this prompt? Assume you have a Angular or any other language which you code in, and you want to use a particular example of that, right? And you do not want to get a typical example. I guess someone was asking to generate an MCQ one, right? So I guess through this example, it would be easy for him to understand. Just try to take up all the 3 points. That is, you already have a React project. Yeah, this session will be saved for later. This will be available on YouTube and Twitch overall. So you can just come again and spend time on this. That is the case. That is the case. So you do not need to worry. And in case if you will want to know more or connect around this, you can connect with me on Twitter. I guess my Twitter is IG_Roix. The same goes for LinkedIn. You can just visit there. You can connect if you want to know more about it. I guess I can now talk about hours on prompt engineering by the time I've spent on this. But let's get back to it, folks. You have to generate a prompt now. Assume that you have already have a React project. You want to use an example of use effect, and you want a typical example. Particularly, you can just copy paste this and write this in ChatGPT to get a prompt. So if I just let me do it easy for everyone. So if I go to ChatGPT and I just write this prompt, let's see what it gives. So if you can clearly see, I have just given him the prompt and he gave me a lot of prompts, right? Assume you have already, you want to see an example of use effect, you want an artificial example. See, it says to run this example, you need to have a separate React project setup, right? It gives me all the set of code, everything is up here, and it just ends up here. Now, the problem with this prompt is, the biggest problem is, it does not specifically tell in which component I want to have the use case effect, where I want to learn, and where I want to execute the use case effect. In such cases, ChatGPT will only tell you what is its basic use case, right? So in certain cases, you will need to understand where I want to use effect, and it's also not telling you where you have to use effect, right? It's just telling you that this is use effect, this is an atypical example. So what can be a perfect prompt for this if I have to write? So I'll write, please create an example React component that takes in at least one prop. So when I'm telling you it should take at least one prop, I'm specifying where I want to use the use case, right? So I'll say at least take one prop and demonstrate how to uh, use hooks like use state and use effect. Like this were the things we wanted to find, right? Use effect, right? Again, when you talk about it should not be a typical example, you can write it should not be a hello world example, because every language works around hello world. If you want to understand the basics, hello world example, and most importantly, assume that I have an React project setup. So this is my prompt. I guess someone came up with a prompt. Yeah. When we talk about how we can write effective prompts in the fields we are knowledgeable with, when we will move to role-based prompting, Aviza, we'll get to know more about it. The reason I'm trying to explain it through a front-end structure, because I guess a lot of folks are a bit familiar with front-end. I can know not everyone is familiar with it, but everyone is a bit familiar, so they can understand it. But when we actually talk about writing effective prompts, when we are not knowledgeable in it, there comes a place when we go about optimizing and iterating prompts that we'll be covering in the upcoming session time. So we'll just wait for a few things. Let me clear this up, and this then we will move into that phase. You do not need to worry. Okay. So if I just write this prompt, and also to specify the answer to this can only be done when you spend more and time in chat gpt and you learn to get the art of optimizing prompts, right? It's more like setting up a conversation with ChatGPT where you ask prompts from ChatGPT, right? Like what should be the prompt? What should prompt I should write to get the best answer out of it? So we'll be covering that in optimizing prompt. Okay, so when I write this prompt, particularly that is let's create a React component that receives a prop, uses use state hook to manage local state, and utilizes use. You do not need to see a lot of technical stuff. The thing which I wanted to mention here is the clarity in the prompt. What clarity is? The first thing is I need to create a component in React. It clearly says that. Then it should take a prop that stays an example what the use state and use effect example should be implemented at, and you're clearly saying that it should not use the hello world example so that it can take a level up. The chat gpt can understand that you know the hello world example. Now when you write that, you can see it gives you a csx code where it tells you about all the, you do not need to see the technical things, but just I'm talking about the prompt, how it differentiates particularly, and then it explains all the component particularly, everything. So that is how this type of props or prompts are required to write, where you need to mention where you will be using that particular feature, like, and what type of expected output you have want to have. Like you do not want it to have the HTML code, that's okay. That's not a worry. The most important thing here is You do not want that particular type of example. So that is how this whole system works. Okay, so if I move to the next structure, okay, I should slide show it. Let's, I guess, as I also said, when you spend more time with Chat GPT, it will try to refine your question to the perfect prompt. Yes, exactly. That is what something which we'll be learning in optimizing prompts. When you actually talk with Chat GPT, at certain point of time, you will be able to get the prompts from Chat GPT. Uh, See, the extent to which you can actually employ prompt engineering ethically is when it uh, do not try to give him the sensitive information that your system has. For example, if you're working for a client, for a major client, and you're trying to share certain API codes or results with ChatGPT just to get the proper code to make it run, that is going to make it tough for you. And when we talk about ethically, I guess every engineer in this world, with very surety I can say, uses internet to make their code work, right? Not everyone is a born coder. Everyone takes the use of internet. It depends how perfectly and smartly you can take the use of internet to make your code work. That is how it works. Okay, the next thing is prompt check. If I talk about, okay, this is again another example. If I need to, this is an example. You do not have to write prompt. For example, I need to loop through an array. I want my website to look good on phone too. If you look at these two prompts, these are basically the prompts which anyone will type if they have gone to chat GPT or AI model once or twice, right? So if I have to put a correct prompt for the first one, right? So I can just write, hi, can you please suggest me methods in which I can loop through an array in JavaScript and also add an example to it. So yeah, this will be on the YouTube and which channel, so you will be able to get the recordings. You'll be able to get all the recordings. Otherwise, again, as I've said earlier, you can connect with me on Twitter, IG underscore raw x. We can also communicate it there. Hey Tintin, hello MLS community members and audience attendees. How are you? What is the session plan? What is the project that we are going to build in? Can you tell us more about the adapted technologies to develop it? Thanks. Regards at the rate MLS. Hi Tintin, are talking about, I guess everyone is audience is good. They are super active. And we are talking about prompt engineering, how you can make better prompts while building examples or new things. Apart from that, the session plan is we are going to learn about writing good prompts. Then we will be switching to make a CRUD application, and then the most important thing in between is we are going to work around optimizing prompts. That is someone, if you do not know how to write prompts, you need to ask Chat GPT what are the correct prompt methods, right? And after that, it will be more about, we'll be talking about AI assisted coding and writing and generating pseudo code in test cases if we get enough set of time. So that is how we have planned our session. So this is all the things we are going to talk about. Okay, so if I talk about the second prompt, I want my website to look good on phone too. So now here there need to be a very specific justification done to this prompt, right? If you have to say, you need to clearly say, hey, ChatGPT, I have designed a web application in using Angular language or React language, whatever you are writing in front end. Can you make sure my website will look good on phone too using the application of media queries? Now, ChatGPT will understand that you have created. Yep, have classes, folks. These sessions will be all recorded, so do not need to worry. Uh, so it's okay if you leave. These sessions will be up. Apart from that, folks, I was covering up that you need to be very clear on the things which you are applying right now, such as if you are writing a particular prompt, make sure it's specific. Here, in the case of website should look good on phone, you need to tell what is the way by which you need to get the website look good. Media queries is a way in front end which we actually use particularly to make sure our like website looks good on phone too if someone is using it in phone, right? Instagram has a both web version and phone version, right? Because they make sure it's suitable for both kinds of audiences. So that is how things goes in prompt check. And when we talk about check in prompt check, it's basically checking all the boxes, whether we are specific, we are using technical terms, and we have provided enough context so that chat gpt or any other AI model language will understand. Okay, Next is you need to control the response length and the format, most importantly. So I guess when the stream started, someone said this is too much content, right? Because a lot of answers popped up when we actually read. Okay, so if I just move back to Chat GPT, I'll just share this tab instead. I'll say list differences between HTML and XML. Now it has started to give me definitions for HTML and XML. I'm not going to stop it. Let's see how much response it can give. Just see, right? Now it has given me 8 points. I need to go through every point to make it more understandable. Now, if I write the same prompt as in XML in tabular format and uh, and list five main differences. So if I write this, now what will happen is now it has listed the five main differences between HTML and XML in the tabular format. So what happens here is you can clearly see when I have made a controlled response and I have made sure that ChatGPT do not give me extra source of information, right? It should not give me informations more like, because there can be tons of differences between HTML and XML, but as now it's giving me specified main five differences. So it's very important to make sure you have making it controlled and response. And if I give you more example, let's write this prompt: create a flowchart describing how to submit a pull request in JS. Just a second. If I just copy this prompt, I guess this is GPT 3.5, so it's not able to give. I can either ask uh, create a flowchart or a tabular format describing how to submit a pull request using GitHub. So it will give me a particular tabular format or a particular, you can say, branch format to make sure how you can have a merge pull request in this. So you attended Hack this fall? Yep, I attended it last year. Yep, I did had amazing folks, amazing team. That is the case. Okay, getting back to this, it's very important again to put up correct prompts, right? And for example, if you are a beginner in front end, right, you have just started to learn around JavaScript, so you can write this prompt. Please list the five important JavaScript concepts. So it will help me. So and also you can specify the words, right? Uh, if I can just go back to that particular prompt and add one line why they are important. If I save and submit this, that is why it says one line. I don't know if one line it takes up 1 point to particularly say. So it's very important to control the length and response format in ChatGPT or any other AI language model. The reason is ChatGPT and all the models have tons and tons of information which they can actually pass through for a lot amount of time, because they have been trained with so much data. If you even ask them why 2 plus 2 is equals to 4, they will have 10 reasons to it. So if I ask why 2 plus 2 is equals, give me 50 reasons. If I write this, okay, we did ask for a lot more, but yeah, that can be a case that you need to be very controlled on it, right? Okay, let's actually try to move to our next part, that is iterative prompting. Okay, I just need to slide show this. Okay, what we actually know about iterative prompting, right? Iterative prompting is basically you need to prompt, you need to evaluate, and you need to revise and follow up. So iterative prompting is basically when you prompt something, Chat GPT will evaluate it, and then once again you evaluate that particular prompt, and then you prompt up a new. give a new prompt. That is how it works. See, if I have, I guess, added a very good example, which is on the left side of it, the review prompt process, right? So let's do it with an example. I guess that would be the best thing which we can do right here. Let's try to give it an example. Just a second. Hmm. Okay. So the example can be just a second. Hmm. So let's try to put up a table in Chat GPT and try to understand what prompt engineering is. Let me write a simple set of code in Chat GPT. H1 uh, role with Chat GPT. H1, right? I'm just trying to make a simple example of HTML code, which we can actually iterate and try to understand what it can actually do, right? So I can write table. I want to have a T head. I want to have a TR. Just wait for the example and you will understand what I'm trying to say. TH uh, name TH. Just make sure I copy this. C Control V Control V Control V Control V. Let it be players. Let it be age. Let it be uh, any other thing, salary, and let it be experience. Experience, right? So for example, I have this. I'll just close it with slash tr slash thead and slash table. So this is a basic table code which we actually write in chat gpt, right? So what I can do is, now if I write the first prompt, let it be uh, create a product web page, create a product web page based on HTML table, right? If I write this, I can also do one more thing. First, let it complete. We like we discussed this before, that we can tell it, please specify different HTML, CSS, and JS files. I also open a compiler. So if you see the prompt now, it will give you, certainly to create a product web page provided on HTML, you will need to have separate HTML CSS file, which is commented out here, right? So when you particularly see in this prompt, if you are iterating, so this is our first response, right? Let me share this tab and let us copy this code here, what we have got from HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. If I copy paste this here, I'll go to style.css, I'll copy the code, just remove this, I'll paste this, right? Go to script.js. I hope my screen is visible. Yep. And I'll just go and copy the final JavaScript code. Now I write this. I'll just make sure they are correct. Style.css, and it should have script.js, right? Everything is looks good. Now if I run it, okay. So it gives me a table role with chat GPT. Has the game name, player, age, salary, experience, right? So what it has done is, the chat GPT has, let me just pause, like zoom in a bit. Yep, I guess that should be good. Yep, if you can clearly see what chat GPT had did it has made some temporary data on its own so that it can function. It has given players data name as chess and poker, player name, age, salary as per it, and it has divided it as per the justifications which are here. Same goes in the CSS file as well as the HTML file. You can clearly see. That's it. So this is how it created a simple product, what we have thought of initially. Now, if I have to change this prompt into something new, right? Uh, Now I'll just write it. Use responsive gallery. Now why responsive gallery? Because someone, if someone wants to like play with it or spend around looking more around the table, it should be more responsive, right? Gallery format, gallery format where uh, each product is a tile, right? Where each product is a tile. Now you're differentiating it, making it more specific, giving it more context overall, right? And you can say convert the data in HTML, right? HTML table to JSON, because you're specifying that you need to convert the data in HTML to JSON format in your code, and use JS to loop through the game, and use JS to loop through and display each game. Now, what do you think if I write this code candidly? So, if you can clearly see in this prompt, we are specifying more that use a responsive gallery where each product is like a tile, convert the data in HTML table to JSON format, and use the JS to loop through display each game. If I write this, it gives me a new HTML code, right? So, let me just copy this code and paste it here. Let me go to HTML file. If I remove it, this one, it gives me a different code for HTML, CSS, because we have already mentioned it in our earlier prompt that we needed a different code. If I go to script.js, it's right, and right, like this, right? Now, if I try to run it, now if I can just scroll it a bit, now what has happened is this has transformed into a table, right? Now this is transformed into a table. You can clearly see because you mentioned it. Our system should be a card-based structure. Our system should be responsive. It should be based in a tile-based term. So it says chess, player name, age, salary, experiences, and with the data. So this is how when you specifically tell more context to Chat GPT, it is going to create you prompts, right? And this is how this is going to work. This is responsive. If you will go, I guess this cannot get bigger or smaller like this, right? And if you go big, this will be, so this is responsive. When you make it smaller, you make it big. Okay, he asked, teach me how to use promises in JavaScript with use case scenarios. No, you are missing something here. Real legend, you are missing something here. Something, want to add something here, because I know that he's definitely missing out something here. If someone wants to just add a prompt here, he has said, teach me how to use promises in JS use with use case scenarios. If someone can tell a prompt correcting this, any one of you, because I know the thing which is clearly missing here. See, if I have to write a correct prompt for this version, you're clearly missing. Why do you want to use promises? Like I know you want the Chat GPT to teach you its process. Yep, the detail is missing. Can you specify the detail? Him now. Can you specify the detail? What's missing? See, we are going to move towards optimizing prompt after this, which is particularly the most important part of this session. Optimizing prompts is going to teach you a lot of things. Adding more specificity, yes, adding more specificity. I guess if someone is not used to JavaScript or something, I can clearly tell there is one clear thing which is missing here, or even though which we have learned till now, there is a very high need to mention. Uh, you're talking about use case scenarios, right? You can give an example around use case scenario if you have ever heard about promises, or just go with, yeah, the goal for learning promises. Exactly, the goal for learning promises. A beautiful example. If you've ever heard about promises to handling errors, mentioning that if you want to party. So what happens is when it gives you use case scenarios, right? So JavaScript do like ChatGPT do not know in which area you want to use promises here, right? Just Khushi says handling errors. So you mentioned that with use case scenario specifically in handling errors, so it can give you better prompts. That is how this is particularly gonna work. That is the case. So if I just even write this prompt in ChatGPT, you can also try it too. Just try it with particular cases. Why do you want for it? And this is gonna work for you. That is the case. But folks, with that, I guess we will be taking a short break for a minute, just a minute. I'll be back. I'll just need to take up some coffee to clear up my head. Next up coming is optimizing prompts, that we will start in the next minute. That is the most important part, because someone asked in the session before, I guess it was Hawiza, that if we do not know how to prompt technically, right, what should be the ways we need to take care of that. So optimizing prompts is an answer to it. Being very honest, optimizing prompts is going to help you in each and every other way. So I'll be just moving away from the screen for like 1 to 2 minutes. I'll be back. Maximum of 2 minutes I'll take. I'll be back from a small loo break, and then we will continue with optimizing prompts. Till then, I'll play this music for you, and yep, I'll just share this tab and play this music. I'll be just back in 2 minutes, maximum 2 minutes. Hi everyone, I am back. Thanks for waiting. Okay, I hope everyone, if everyone wanted to get a loo break or get a water break, they would have got it. We'll again continue with where we left off. Probably the most important thing in Chat GPT when you don't know how to write prompts, that is asking. chat gpt that write a prompt for me, right? So when we talk about optimizing prompts, is basically whatever prompt you write, you will be asking chat gpt, please optimize this prompt for me. So how this is going to work is, for example, you're going to start by writing chat gpt that you need to write prompt to chat gpt asking clarifying questions to your prompt, right? Answer ChatGPT clarifying questions, and when ChatGPT returns an optimizing prompt, feed the prompt back to ChatGPT. I know this looks all a bit different, but we are going to do this right now. So let me share this with you. Okay, so the thing which we are going to do is, let me just move this back. I am going to write in ChatGPT. I am. You can also write down this prompt to yourself. This prompt is going to help you in a lot of cases. I am going to give you a prompt and I want you to ask me clarifying questions, to help optimize prompt. Folks, you can write down this prompt being very honest. I'm going to give you a prompt and I want you to ask me clarifying questions to help optimize prompt. Right? This is how it's gonna work. So if I write like enter this, it will say, sure, I would be happy to optimize your prompt. Please provide the initial prompt and and I'll ask clarifying questions to I'll understand your requirements better. So I guess let's make a CRUD application with this. That is create, react, update, delete application, which we have seen in, if you have make a user database management system front end, you might have gone through it. So I'll write my first prompt that would be, I want to make a CRUD application using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. This is the first prompt I have written in ChatGPT. So now what it's going to tell is it's going to ask me questions, clarifying questions to help optimize the prompt. What entity or data do you want to manage in CRUD application? For example, are you managing it for the list of users? Now what you have to do is you have to give answers to it. So answers for the above question, right? So number one question was, what, for example, you are managing I am managing list here, managing list of users, right? Second is, do you have any specific requirements for the user interface or design application, like uh, it should be user friendly, and color combination should be blue and white, right? This is the second answer which I am giving him. Third question answer is, are you planning to use any specific libraries, JavaScript framework? So you can say, I want to use Angular, to be bit specific, right? And if you do not want to use, I want to make it in you have to use Angular, I guess. I will use, I am using Angular, right? Is there a backend server, or do you have, so you can clearly say, no, I want to store data in local storage, I want to store data in local storage. I guess someone asked me that, do we work around backend? So when you're actually giving it prompts, you need to let it know particularly that, in which particular or space you want to store data, whether it is Node, MongoDB, or any other application where you want to store the data, right? Next is, what operations do you want in CRUD application? uh, I want to add, update, delete user from system. I want to create, uh, read, update, delete from system. You can mention that. Okay, how many questions it has asked? It has asked me 10 questions, right? You can also specify, ask me 5 questions. So six one can be, do you have any specific constraint? No. Seven can be, are there any security confirmation? Uh, uh, User data validation should be there. Validation, data validation. And eight number can be, do you have any preferred method? Again, I said local storage. Okay, I guess I've given a wrong answer for the above question. I'll use Node.js. Uh, if required local storage. Nine answer can be. Let me write it quick. Do you have any specific user interactions or workflows? No. Let's keep it simple. And tenth answer would be, what is the expected timeline? Time constraints? No time constraints. Now what you have done is ChatGPT has asked you 10 different type of questions which they feel will be there for a CRUD application to make it better, and you have answered all 10 of this. Now what you're going to write is, suggest a more effective prompt for PRO MPT prompt for my CRUD app based on my answers, right? So if you write this, now see now what it will do is, certainly based on your answers, here is a more refined and specific prompt for your CRUD application. Now I really want everyone to see what it has given as a prompt. I want to create a user-friendly CRUD application using Angular. For managing a list of users, the color combination should be primarily blue and white. I plan to use Node.js for the backend if required. The application should allow users to add, update, and delete user information. Data validation is crucial, and data will be stored locally using local storage. There are no specific browser comparatively constraints, and there is no strict deadline for completion. Provide guidance on creating a visually appealing UI, implementing data validation, integrating Angular Node.js for seamless CRUD application. Right now, if I just copy this prompt and I paste it here, enter. Now it has given you a set of things with things will mention. Now when you write this, give me code for all the for the CRUD application, right? Separately for HTML, for, let it be separately, it will understand. Now it will start asking, and it, now what happens is, now we haven't mentioned that we have already created a Angular application, right? So it will give us from the starting, install a CRUD, install Angular CLI, create a new Angular project, create components, three different components, implement Angular notations. Okay, do you folks want me to actually run it? Okay, let me do it for you. Wait, let me actually make this. One more thing which we haven't mentioned here is, we should mention which type of Angular version we are using, whether it is Angular 16 or Angular certain set of other codes. So let me open Visual Studio Code, because I don't think we have an online compiler for Java Angular. I will have a new window. I guess I should now share my VS Code screen. Wait, uh, present, share screen, window, add to the stage, works. Right now we'll go the step by step process of what our GPT gave us, right? So I'm just going to minimize this. I hope the screen is visible, folks. We'll just get it checked just once. Yeah, the screen is visible. Now let me just write GPT prompt in our Visual Studio Code. Just a second, I'll just manage it well. We go to the terminal. Let me open a folder first. Give me a minute. P1. Open folder. You can go to desktop. P1, P1, P1. And I'm just going to repeat the steps of what ChatGPT has given us, right? Yes, I trust the authors, definitely. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a terminal, new terminal, right? It's already says in P1. Now I'm going to go to my ChatGPT and just copy what are the things which it has given me, right? So I'll just go up. Okay, so the first thing it said to install the Angular CLI, which is already available on my system. So it should not be very. My screenshot is visible, right? Okay, great. So this is the case. The first thing it says me to create a new Angular project. So I'll just copy the code and I'll just paste it here and I'll say enter, right? Just this is very simple. Ng new user CRUD app, and it says yes. The next thing it says is, do you want to use Angular routing? Yes, and it also says cd user CRUD app because it will help me to locate into that file. We'll just give it a minute. Just I know you do not have to think of coding it all hard. Uh, I'll do the coding part. It's not something we should be worried about. Otherwise, you can also follow us like step by step what I am doing. I'll copy the code in the chat, and you can also run it in your. Yeah, but it's okay. If you do not know anything about Angular, you can just see the screen. It's just a framework of JavaScript, just like React. That's it. Okay, it's taking a bit long, but we are just going to wait for it to create a new application for us. I'm just not going to do anything. The optimized prompt which we just had from our application, what we are going to do is we are just going to write down all the steps which ChatGPT is telling us to do. Okay, new application is made. New application is made. The next step that ChatGPT says is create Angular components. So I'll just create the Angular components now. See, it has now created three different, that is listing, adding, and updating. Okay, it has not created the delete version. It should have. Okay, it has now created all the three. Right now it has created. Now the next thing which ChatGPT is saying me to go to users list component.html. So I'll just open it. Again, do not worry. I'm just telling you how this is gonna work. I need to go to user list HTML, right? And I have to copy this code here. Okay. Then I have to go to user list TS. Uh, we will just remove this and I'll just copy this. It's, I guess it has must have created a user service, that why it says. Now from this way only we'll be also moving ahead to solving errors with this. The next thing it is go says to go to add user HTML. We'll copy and paste this here. and then we'll go to component.ts of add user, remove this, paste this here. User service is again an issue, but that will be solved. You do not need to worry. Now it says to me implement a user service, right? I will just write this component. Again, you can also ask for different type of components from user service, and it's super okay if you're not understanding anything what's going on screen right now. I'm just following the orders of what ChatGPT is saying me. So it says me. So again, it says me I'll just copy the code for user service. So if you have to create a service, you have to write ng generate service user. It will create a service like this is the user.service.ts file. You can just go and copy this. Just remove this and paste this. This will remove errors from a lot of places because we have now created a service. And the next thing is I have to update the app module, right? Because if someone has worked with Angular, you need to update all the app modules which are available. Why it is showing error? Imports are correct. So I'll just I'll just paste it here. I guess this should not be an error now, right? So according to me, my application should now correctly work if I write ng servo. But I know, yep, you can see GitHub Copilot is always will be a feature. So if I write ng serve, oh, I am definitely sure this is going to throw an error. That is for sure. But there is a reason to show you this why it will throw an error. So ngserve command is basically a command we use to generate errors, like to generate the main application. And I'll be very honest, this is going to throw an error, and it says error. And if I can see, there will be tons of errors which I can probably list out. Hmm. See, if now this is how you are going to use errors to solve, like you are going to use this to solve errors, right? So it is asking me to go here. I guess there should not be an error. This should be user. If I just okay, and the service open. Hmm. Users, users, and users. So what if see for example you have now got an error. Now what you have to do is you have to just copy this message. Just copy this message, move to your chat GPT and paste it. Stop sharing it and share this. Let me present my screen. Chat GPT. Okay. So now the errors which I have got there, I'll just put it up here. And it will tell me the actual ways of which the errors might be occurring or all the other things such as that. So the majority I'll tell you the errors happening is here. The checking the routing confirmation and introducing router module in your Angular, right? So I'll just copy this from here. Just go to my app module. And I definitely know router module is not present. So just copy this and move. Yep, got it. Yep, the my error is removed as of now, as I can see. So this is how you're going to use ChatGPT for specifically for errors, because you're going to generate a lot and a lot and a lot of code from ChatGPT, but ultimately you have to understand how you're going to use those resources from the errors and then creating things which are in the error based system. So that is how you use particularly for optimizing prompts. And I have given example of CRUD application, but optimizing prompt is something which you can every time use. I guess someone asked before in the chat that if I'm not a technical person, how this prompt engineering is going to help me. The thing here is you need to make sure your prompts get optimized by ChatGPT with time to time to time. So it will eventually help you at certain point of time. Your brain will start making prompts which you know how ChatGPT is gonna work. So this is how it's gonna work. Okay, the next thing, I guess we are already getting a bit slow. We need to move to our next part. That is, my system is taking a bit lag. Thanks, VS Code. Does it happen to you folks that when you work around VS Code or any other systems, it starts to lag a bit? Okay, we were around. There are certain net issues. Let me clear up that. Uh, okay, I guess it should be good. Yep, we did work around optimizing prompts. Next thing is we built a chat GPT. The next important thing is role-based prompts, which are very again an important part. So role-based prompts are basically you are transforming yourself or chat GPT into a different person altogether. So these role-based prompts actually start with act as a or you are a, right? So I have a very interesting thing which I wanted to show here you folks. If I just share this tab, okay, I I just write you and you are a product manager, you're a senior product manager. uh, tell okay, let me zoom it for you folks. Tell me ways I can improve my Canada, right? So this is basically role based prompting. You're telling chat gpt that you are a senior product manager, and now you need to tell me ways I can improve my Canada. So if I just enter it. Now, if you see, we have talked about a lot about how important it's to be specific while writing prompts, and it is that totally not specific, right? It is just a vague prompt that you're a senior product manager. Now, tell me ways by which you can improve the CRUD app. That's it. So it will tell you the ways. This is the net ways you can particularly find. But when I write, I can improve my CRUD app so it can be more user friendly. It can be more user friendly, and I will want you to create user stories around it. So if you don't know user stories are basically, for example, if someone is using our application, how they are going to use application. Uh, are there any emerging advanced trends or advancements in prompt engineering techniques that developers should be aware of enhancing productivity in JavaScript and React projects? Most importantly, what happens with ChatGPT, this is something which we are also going to discuss. They hallucinate a lot, right? What hallucination means is they might have certain links or access to courses which are outdated, and they try to give you same set of results again and again and again. So you might think, okay, I am getting a correct result, but the case can be you are getting an outdated version. So the most important thing which you need to be aware about or the trends is to make sure your system doesn't hallucinate much. That is something which I can tell more, right? So if I write this here, you are a senior product manager. Tell me the ways I can improve my CRUD so it can be more user friendly, and I want you to create 5 user stories of how my CRUD will be used. If I save and submit it, now it is clear. Enhancements for more user-friendly CRUD with the user stories. So the first user story is, as a user, I want a clear and intuitive navigation menu so that I can easily switch between user list and user creation and updated forms. As per that, there are five different user stories it has created for you. So when we talk about user stories, it knows its role. You have made sure your chat GPT is a senior product manager and it is responding to that. If I see you this, I was trying to learn about an application, right? So, hi there, are you ready for a role play? So it says, what are you trying to explore, right? So I'm just suggesting him, you and I work for IM Jobs and you're a senior product manager and I'm a junior. We need to do a product tear down for our application. So you can ask me relevant questions and let's have a chat around same, right? So I'll ask him. It will say that you need to tell me about strengths and the weaknesses, and then I can ask you more clarifying questions. So I'll tell up the positive and the negatives I feel. So this is basically when you tell ChatGPT how it should react, it will have a communication with you just like that particular person. For example, if I have a senior product manager, I'm going to have certain same set of communication with him. What I'm having with ChatGPT, it will keep asking me questions. I'm going to keep asking him, giving him results. For that, he's going to give me responses. So that is how this whole thing works when we talk about role-based prompting. And why role-based prompting is important, because at certain point of time you are not going to get advice, right? So I'll be very honest. When we are in our third or fourth year of college, we try to tend to get a lot of advices on our projects, on our day-to-day life, on our LinkedIn profile, on our resumes. In such cases, you can make sure ChatGPT works as a person who is that mentor and who can actually help you to know about these sectors, like how to improve your resumes. If I give ChatGPT my resume, I'm very sure it's going to take out the pinpoints which I can make it better, or the things which make it better. You can ask ChatGPT to score you on the basis of 100 your resume. I know it can't be very specific, like accurate, but it will give you a lot of clear things. So that's why it's very important when we talk about role-based prompts. You get to know about it. You just need to make sure what type of person you are expecting from ChatGPT. That's it. Okay, let's move to the next one. Prompting with example. I guess when we are trying to write functions, this is very important. So I'll just write a very simple example. Please write a function to total an array of numbers and return the value as dollar amount. Now you can ask what's the example here, right? So I'll tell him the example input will be, you can close down and write 5 comma 40.5 comma 9 comma 45 comma 23 comma 50, right? And expected, then someone do the quick maths. Expected output, it would be 45, 50, 95, 95 and 40, 135.5. I guess it would be something around 172.5, right? So now you can clearly see here is, I have told ChatGPT that I want you to write a specific function of total number of arrays and return the value as dollar amount. The expected input this and expected output is dollar this, right? So if I enter it, it gives me a simple Python feature, like function that, and if I write open a Python compiler, Python online compiler, I'll just copy the code from here. I will paste it here, run. So because it is input numbers is 544, we can also tell it that we want to make a function that takes an input as these numbers and gives output as a sum of all the numbers. So you need to sometimes give ChatGPT examples, right? That this is an example. Okay, let's try to solve it through a challenge. It's time to challenge, like it's time to make something new. I want all of you folks to make a flavor generator. Like every time you click on a button, it should generate a new flavor, such as uh, strawberry whipped cream, apple creamy pie, something like of that order. And I want you to specifically use the example input and example output function. Just write the prompt. I'm writing it for you folks. It will be more like, you can say, if I can clearly say how it looks like, it's more like it should take an input, for example, a fruit input, and it should give a new name. And till the time you folks are writing the prompt, I'll also write the prompt. Uh, Let me write a function that generates its random hippie water hippo hippo water water flavors like funky raspberry pie, right? Then we have strawberry whipped cream, uh, tasty apple pie. Like, right? Now I'll tell you example inputs. Example input. It will be apple, banana, uh, apple, banana, guava, right? Then we have output as, okay. Uh, I still have to write. Output will be apple creamy pie and etc. Right? And one more thing which you should mention, if I am writing function should accept array, the thing which we didn't mention the last time, right, folks? The thing which we didn't mention the last time, the function should accept array of objectives and array of flowers, array of flavors. I'm writing, yes, right? So if I just save and submit, so it gives me a Python function, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this code. I'm going to go to my Python compiler. I am going to run this code and run this. So every time I run this, it should give me a new one. So it gives me banana raspberry delight, banana whipped cream, apple whipped cream, banana whipped cream, apple raspberry delight. So every time I click on it, it gives me a new water flavor. If I give it, try to give it more example inputs. So that is how this input function things works, right? You're telling ChatGPT that I want to make a function that should give me a result, right? You are giving your soft. I guess this should be a very good example. You folks give your coding test, right, on different platforms when you are trying to, what you can say, trying to apply for new companies, right? They gives you test cases, solve test cases. They say if you have to make an array that sums up all the things which are present in the array. So that is an example out input and output, right? So that is how you can train your chat gpt. I'm not telling you to copy, but that is how this things works. So I hope this thing is pretty much clear. Most important things, AI models will hallucinate. So if you think how this thing works, why I'm saying it, because what can happen is, for example, you can ask for a GitHub. For example, you're looking for a GitHub profile application, that GitHub application that makes CRUD applications, right? So it can give you a GitHub link that once have made use of it to make a CRUD application, but now must be deleted. So when you try to access it, it will say 404. Now this happens is because models like ChatGPT or any other AI models get trained time to time to time. The last time ChatGPT was trained back in 2021 with all the data it had. So if you try to ask it something new, it might hallucinate or give you wrong responses. So in that cases, you need to make sure that you needed to take a step back from AI, right? You needed to know now I do not need to use ChatGPT. I need to use internet because ChatGPT will still take time to like more hallucinate or other things. Okay. Uh, Probably the last part of our thing would be AI assisted coding, which I guess is very important when you talk about chat GPT and other things. Okay. So when we actually talk about AI assisted coding, how it can help you. If you want to make a new project, it will help you generate project ideas, plan project, write user stories for you, generate code snippets, generate mock data. If you could have seen when we generated those cards like for our games and player name, it generated code by itself, like the mock data. So sometimes when you are making mock applications or new applications, these things particularly helps you. Apart from that, it also helps you write generate edge cases. Let me just once again switch back to Chat GPT. Hmm, I really wanted to show you that, but okay, let me write it my case. Okay, write five edge cases for the above function. When you will work in corporates or companies, you will see a good head-to-head fight between developer and the testers, automation testers, because they write test cases and the developers try to make uh, the application. So these are the edge cases, right, for the above function. What is the extremity this function can actually have? So if I enter it, so now it told me what are the five edge cases, right? Empty arrays. If you enter an empty array, how it is going to give you a new hippo water flavor, right? Single element arrays. For example, if you input orange or chocolate dream, the expected output would be orange chocolate dream, right? Apart from that, null arrays when nothing is present in both the boxes in the example input and output. When there are large arrays, right? So expected output is randomly generated flavors using arrays from both the arrays, right? It can be a case. So that is how when you try to write around unit test cases, edge cases in particularly you can say yeah, AI. If you want to write it with ChatGPT, you can just write a function and then you can ask the system to generate test cases. I though want to discuss this wanted to discuss a lot of things, but I guess this is something which you folks should know when you're trying to talk about AI assisted coding. That how it can help you. It can help you to generate project ideas, project reports, write user stories. If you get more specific, it can help you to make your whole application like the CRUD application we made. Apart from that, it will help you to write test prompts, debugging and error messages, which I guess is another very important point. Because see, the important thing is you will get a lot of error messages when you are trying to make an application from ChatGPT. But when you again train ChatGPT for those error application, the next time you want to make a new application, those error won't be there, right? One more thing, when we talk about AI assisted coding helps you with ChatGPT is conversion of code. A lot of time is going to happen is, for example, someone said that I know React, right? But he went to work in a place which uses Vue.js, right? So because both are same frameworks, you can move, you can learn from React to Vue or Vue to React using ChatGPT. The code differences, the small differences it has. You just need to convert this React code into Vue code or this Vue code into React code so that I can understand. And the next important thing would be to document your code, right? Documentation of your code is very much important. Let me tell you, senior software engineers spend a lot of time just reading documents because they know if they spend good time reading this, there won't be a lot of problem while writing the codes. So that is the case. Okay, okay, let's go. It's back. It's back. Apart from that, if I get back to this, AI assisted coding is a lot of things. I did wanted to discuss a lot of things, but I guess we are good with the time restraints. Apart from that, folks, this will be a good thank you. Thank you for being patient listening for the last 2 hours. We have discussed a lot of things, how prompt engineering is going to help you. I am really focusing towards if you folks can spend time around optimizing and iterating prompts. This is a very important thing which I feel should be there when you're trying to optimize prompts. You will learn more about prompting. And I guess when someone says AI will take your jobs, it will not be the AI who is going to take the jobs, but it will be the person who uses AI will be taking your job. So it's better to learn and get better with AIs. And ChatGPT and Bard are here to stay. They will be here for everywhere. Whether you are a software developer, whether you are a product manager, whether whatever you are doing, if you're using prompting it well, you will be getting all the most important thing. One thing which I wanted to make sure you folks should know, that when to step away from AI when you're writing codes, because you're not getting your desired results. You're getting error again and again and again. So in that case, Chat GPT is not training itself. It has just got confused, and now it's giving you same like results again and again. And we are in a copy paste loop. Never do that. If you're trying to make a whole application from ChatGPT, that is not going to happen. That is going to throw you at least. So it will be more like earlier we were used to take 10 days to make an application and 2 days to debug it. Now with ChatGPT, we take 2 days to like make it and 10 days to debug it. That is how it works. So do not try to do that. And most importantly, try to only copy paste that code that you understand. Do not paste everything you see, because that is not something which is going to help you primarily. So yes, folks, that will be it. I guess I spoke for a lot of time. Thank you for being patient listeners, for all the amazing audience. I guess it was a very interactive session with all the conversations I had. But folks, with that, thank you so much. If you want to connect with me, you can just go to my Twitter. That will be IG underscore raw x. If I can just see, if I can just have my profile. You can also connect with me over LinkedIn. Uh, yep, that you can do that too. If you want to know more about prompt engineering, other things, hackathons, and all sort of stuff like that, you can go for it too. That's it. You can connect with me over LinkedIn. Uh, and again, the most important thing is to keep doing good, keep learning about prompt engineering. It's going to help you in a long run for a definite case. I guess with that, folks, I'll take a break. This will be it for this session. Thank you so much for sticking by, and I will see you folks in the upcoming sessions. Till then, bye everyone. See ya. I'll play the music once again because everyone liked it. I think we can do with the slide.